What do you make of this kind of stagnance that we've seen in, or stagnation, I guess is the right word, that we've seen in Bitcoin and crypto at large? Why do you think we're not seeing any movement out of this range?
It's because of the institutions that came into the space. You know, everybody wanted the institutions to come into the space. They were desperate for it for years. But once they actually came in during 2021, they changed the whole nature of crypto and turned it into a kind of a risk-on asset as a whole. So, you know, Bitcoin and all the other cryptos basically have moved in line with the US markets, particularly NASDAQ in recent times over the last 6 months. But it's actually even worse than that, because if you compare them, what you find is that as NASDAQ has gone down over the last 6 months, every time it takes a lurch down, Bitcoin and Ethereum, for example, lurch down even further. But then when NASDAQ has its periodic recoveries, they don't recover as strongly. There isn't much buying power underneath them. They're just seen as such risk-on assets now, and this is not a risk-on environment. So the buying power simply isn't there, and they've just been falling and falling. Even Ethereum, which is thought of as sort of the next big thing because of the merge that's coming up.
Exactly. So that's the point I just wanted to get to. Everybody in crypto is kind of excited for this merge to happen, waiting for it and thinking of it maybe as some kind of catalyst for a move higher. Do you see it the same way?
I mean, it's not even just that. They're talking as if Ethereum's already been going crazy. And, you know, when you look at where it bottomed, yeah, okay, it has come up a lot since June. But the fact is, it fell a lot harder than Bitcoin in the first place. Over the past 6 months, between, say, December and June, it was falling a lot harder than Bitcoin. So all it's done in the last couple of months, actually, is just regain, sort of fill that gap with Bitcoin. And now they're both down around about 60% since December last year. So I'm not too excited by that idea that the merge has been causing loads of people to buy, but nonetheless, in technological terms, I think the merge could be a big step forward in the longer term, particularly for environmental reasons, because it reduces the impact by 99.5%. So, you know, Ethereum currently using about as much energy for mining as the Netherlands, and now it will be going down to using virtually no energy. And of course, at this time when we're all worrying about gas prices, it couldn't have come at a better time. Fantastic PR for Ethereum.
Well, Glenn, there's obviously been a lot of chatter about the merge. There's also been a lot of chatter around the viral Corn Kid TikTok, and if you haven't seen it, you should go watch it. But you say that actually the Corn Kid is representative of a kind of persistence in inflation in things like food and energy prices that could actually ultimately drive more people toward Bitcoin. Can you walk me through that thinking?
Yeah, basically, the Corn Kid, who first went viral on TikTok and then everywhere else. Maybe I'm thinking about this a bit too deeply, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting a bit too philosophical here, but I kind of feel like everybody's obsession with this kid's love of corn, his just pure innocent love of the item, the food item that is corn, right? Everybody's bought into that, and they're all like, yeah, it's so true, we never appreciate corn. It's come at the perfect time, if you think about it, because suddenly, for the first time, probably since the Second World War, people are starting to not take things like basic foodstuffs for granted anymore. We can't be sure that they'll be there in significant quantities or in sufficient quantities over the next few years, depending on what happens in the Ukraine war and to energy prices and thus to food prices. Because the important thing to note here is that gas, the price of gas, influences very heavily the price of fertilizer, because it's an ingredient in fertilizer, and therefore, if you haven't got enough fertilizer or fertilizer is too expensive, as we're seeing, you get prices of basic foodstuffs rising. So I think that people being, you know, loving corn and stuff is kind of, as I say, maybe I'm thinking too deeply, but
we like the philosophy.
Yeah, exactly. I think it
and
kind
this
of
comes
into
back
that.
to crypto, Glenn, in that
yes,
once you have inflation eating into savings, maybe you want to go toward gold and Bitcoin.
Exactly, and so far that hasn't happened. Of course, gold and Bitcoin haven't been doing so well, but, you know, if inflation persists in the longer term, and particularly in Europe, where currencies are tanking, you might see an effect like you saw in Turkey and Nigeria, where the twin troubles of inflation and currencies tanking equal interest in Bitcoin and buying Bitcoin.
Okay, we'll see how that plays out. Glenn, let me take you to the UK, though, and the narrative around regulation of crypto here. A new Prime Minister, incoming Prime Minister, of course, Liz Liz Truss, and we're all trying to work out what she means for all kinds of assets. But thinking about crypto, she tweeted back in 2018 that she would welcome cryptocurrencies in a way that doesn't constrain their potential, liberate free enterprise areas by removing regulations that restrict prosperity. And we all know that she's a small government kind of person, kind of leader. That's what she said. So what are your expectations with that in mind?
I'm optimistic. Yeah, she hasn't really mentioned crypto very much at all since 2018, unfortunately. But, you know, it wasn't her brief. So why should she mention it? And in the meantime, the UK Treasury has been making all kinds of moves to welcome crypto, just as she would like, really, as sort of creating or trying to create a new regulatory environment that would be good for stable coins, that would be good for crypto in general. Now, of course, that's all been put on the back burner because the guy who was in charge of that is... But at the same time, Liz Truss, as you say, she has pro-business instincts. And let's not forget, back in 2018, when she made that remark, that was brave, because at the time, senior politicians and senior bankers were generally saying that crypto was a load of rubbish, that it was a criminal's paradise, a nest of vipers. Everybody should stay way away from it. So she was quite brave in being pro-crypto at that time. That makes me think that we've got a prime minister who's going to continue to be pro-crypto.